All right, so now let's go into the next step here and talk a little bit about how VSS can address the problems that we've outlined from a speed and scale perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So, so what VSS has is we for a long time we've had a number of different types of tapping solutions, and currently what we have is the highest density fiber tap in the industry. It allows you to support up to 24 single mode or multi-mode taps to be able to get your traffic from the network with full reliability in terms of it doesn't matter if the power goes down in the local network or not, you'll maintain your actual network linkage. And then also continue to forward traffic along to any monitoring infrastructure as well. The other thing that it can also support is all the way up to 100 gig, which is very key. Actually, I just noticed in the slide there's actually an extra zero on the fourth bullet. So it's 1,000 gig, it's 100 gig. And then it's also the highest density capability to be able to support multi-mode, 40 gig and 100 gig. Now, 40 gig and 100 gig is kind of unusual beasts in that they're not truly just a single pair of fiber. You've actually got a munged collection of multiple fiber pairs within a single connector and also therefore in a single cable. And so getting access into that with a tap, it tends to be a challenge. So we're able to handle that for both 40 gig and 100 gig, up to 16 taps on a single 1U chassis. I should mention that this is kind of an add-on to our long-term capability we've had for gigabit copper links. They're still out there and used in a lot of places. Gigabit copper is a tough one to passively tap because of the nature of gigabit. You can't actually just do a pure passive tap. You actually have to have a kind of an active tapping element. And we have a solution that's patented with VSS technology to allow, when the power goes up and down on the tapping device, to actually minimize the breakage in the network to such a small degree that the network's not even aware that it's happening. So it's a pretty key feature. All right, so now you've tapped it with this high density tapping capability. You need a device or a solution, a network packet broker solution that will actually take in all the traffic and then be able to do all of that manipulation of the traffic and optimization that I mentioned earlier in the earlier slides that's really necessary. So we have a vBroker series of products, and we've had this around for some time. And the latest addition to that series of products is the VB6000. And it's a 6 terabit backplane product for unidirectional forwarding of the traffic. When we apply it to bidirectional active inline type of traffic, then we can obviously handle up to 12 terabits. So it's quite a large chassis. It's the largest network packet broker in the industry today. And this can work in conjunction with any of our other packet brokers. I talked before about having a meshing or interconnection virtual system of network packet brokers. The VB6000 can actually then work with any of our other ones, such as the VB520, which is a very good local solution for gathering data from a 100 gig link, possibly in a very small site, or maybe on the far end corner of the data center that you're running. Because it is important, particularly with 100 gig, to get your network packet broker as close to the tapping point as possible. I mean, that you're not running long lines all the way back from that tap to some central place. And that's because of the nature of 100 gig, where you actually have less optical budget to play with. You don't impact the distances you're trying to run your traffic over. Okay, and it's really a backbone solution for large-scale monitoring, the VB6000. And so it has the highest density solution in the packet brokering market. has a huge, very attractive economy of scale. It allows you obviously to start small and grow large as you need, and supports not just 1 gig and 10 gig, but also 100 gig and 40 gig to be able to send it off to your 1 gig, 10 gig, and maybe 40 gig tools and devices. You can start off with just one blade in the chassis, which will give you 600 gigs of capacity, or you can increase it up to 10 blades, which will give you up to 6 terabits unidirectional capability. It supports many 10 gig ports, obviously. It will support 40 gig ports. It also supports 100 gig and quite a large number of 100 gig, 6 per blade. And also has the capability to provide advanced features. And some of those advanced features I was talking about earlier, like packet slicing, time port stamping, packet deduplication, and so on. So they're all available in this particular platform, and the VB6000, exactly like all of the other vBrokers that we have in our portfolio, can be managed by a centralized management system, and work in this full meshed system that we can build up. And this is just sort of showing what I was just talking about before, how the VB6000 can be the central point to a system of network packet brokers, where you're bringing in traffic from either remote sites or remote corners of your data center and bringing it back to a more central point. Obviously, if you have a very large data center, that you may actually want to cluster a number of VB6000s together to increase your capacity and throughput as well. And so what this means is VSS really has a different type of NPB solution from what other things you find out there, because of this centralized infrastructure that we can create, just as the network packet brokers with a function on their own, and they can forward the traffic from any part of the network to any of your tools, and not have to rely on a permanently connected management system to orchestrate what's going on within that in that network packet broker fabric in the middle there. The actual network packet brokers themselves will communicate and handle rerouting of traffic as needed automatically. So it really means that you get end-to-end visibility. You know, we can address not just the passive unidirectional monitoring types of capabilities, but also do the active inline bidirectional type of monitoring solutions. And you know, it allows us to break away from a kind of a more siloed approach when people want to do monitoring.
All right, so thank you, Gordon. What I want to do now is do a couple of housekeeping items, and then we'll drive to the finish line here. We're running right about on time. So if you have any questions, make sure that you use the chat window within WebEx and send them to the host of our meeting, April Perez, and we are compiling those questions now. I know that we've got a whole bunch in, so we're trying to sort out if we can get to all of them with the time that we have. So I'm going to just do a quick little overview of VSS, talk about, we'll go to the Q&A session, and then close out again before the hour. I'm looking at the clock here. We're running a little bit behind, but then try to get us out close on time. So just a little bit about VSS. We're part of a corporation called Danaher Corp, and it is a leading science and technology company. It's about $17.5 billion in revenue for 2012, and VSS is part of the test and measurement platform within Danaher, and we are in that platform with several other operating companies, Arbor, Tektronix, and the Flip companies. And you know, that really speaks to stability for the company. It's not like we're going anywhere anytime soon. So across this platform, Danaher, indeed, if you are I thought we gave out stock tips, but if you look at the performance of Apple and then compare it to Danaher, actually Danaher has done better than Apple over the last, 20 years.
Yeah, quite impressive.
So more, a little bit about VSS specifically. As Gordon alluded to, we have, a product portfolio that is comprised of vBrokers, our network packet broker systems, and we have functionality around what we call vProtector, which allows us to do inline security work to make sure that we can, if you want to, for instance, simplify your security deployment, you can do inline chaining of tools to really reduce the complexity of how you deploy a security solution. So not only is
improve the reliability
yeah,
of the network ultimately.
Exactly, thank you. And so not only from a network monitoring performance perspective, the security sector is really gets value out of the VSS solution. And then with DNet Connect, we also have ties into the virtual world, and then we surround that with what we call VMC, which is our management console.
Yeah, VSS Management Center.
Thank you. We're based here in Silicon Valley, and we're continuing, like this market, we see more and more organizations, both as service providers and enterprises, needing to sort of step out of traditional paths and move into this network packet broker layer to really drive visibility of their networks. And to that point, VSS is not alone in this world. We work with a very strong ecosystem of partners that, oftentimes you'll see that a tool deployment will drive the need for better visibility because, okay, now I have a WebSense solution deployed in my network. Now I'm looking at a Blue Code or an Arbor type solution. How do I scale that? How do I get rid of this siloed approach? So we make sure that we have a very robust ecosystem in working with other organizations within both, again, the network performance and security realms.
Right.
Okay. So that's a quick snapshot of us. We've got about 5 minutes left here. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and send them in via the WebEx chat feature. We're going to pause for 30 seconds to compile those questions, and then we'll start taking them on.
Okay.
Are you good with those questions? I wasn't trying to figure out if somebody's being a jackass or...
Yeah.
Okay. And then I have 3 questions right here.
Okay. Do we get those?
Okay. All right. So why don't we go ahead and get started with the Q&A section. So we have one question, Gordon, from one of our webinar participants in terms of how does our approach for monitoring fit in with software-defined networking and that whole realm, if you will?
Yeah, right. So we actually put out a release earlier in the year where we were working with IBM. With an open flow-based SDN solution. We're actually continuing to do more developments in that area. And one of the developments we're doing at the moment is to actually integrate this SDN capability as a part of our VSS Management Center to then bring a full holistic approach from the Management Center. It doesn't matter whether your traffic's being accessed by a normal traditional network packet brokers like we provide, whether it's coming from a virtualized environment into that network packet brokering infrastructure, or whether it's coming from SDN-based or OpenFlow-based infrastructure. We can work with we'll be able to work with either of those from the centralized management center. But we do have a solution today that we announced earlier this year with IBM, and as I said, we're evolving that to bring it under the whole portfolio as one seamless network packet brokering solution.
Great. We have another question that was oriented around your discussion of what types of packet capabilities you need when you have a high-speed network, and the questions around are there different requirements depending on what type of business you are? And so, what we've seen, and actually, again, this relates to some work that EMA and others have done. We actually have seen survey work in that regard, where if you look at the financial sector, for instance, they're more focused around inbound filtering, load balancing, outbound filtering, and time stamping.
Right, that's correct.
Right.
And particularly time stamping is very interesting for the people who are concerned around high-speed trading and so on.
Right, and then if you look at healthcare, it's oriented around load balancing, inbound filtering, packet slicing, even IPv6, port labeling, decryption, outbound filtering, more probably in line with a little bit of security in there and compliance.
Security compliance, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, exactly, and the fact that there's probably more IPv6 being deployed in those types of customers than other providers.
So I think the net for the person who asked this question is one of the your mileage may vary, but if you do look at certain specific segments, you do see some clumping, if you will, of the types of needs for certain capabilities within the solution.
Exactly, yeah. And even if you take service providers, a mobile service provider will differ from a fixed service provider, largely because mobile service providers use GTP, it's a GPRS tunneling protocol for encapsulating the traffic as they send it across their core network, and almost nobody else ever uses that tunneling protocol. So the fact that you've got encapsulation of the traffic within that protocol, you've also got an element of a control plane and user plane just adds additional complexity and difference compared to other users. And then you'll find that very large enterprises may actually make use of MPLS networks more than certain other types of organizations. And government organizations, we know, use a lot of MPLS. So therefore, being able to handle the traffic and maybe remove those protocols from the traffic, so the tools that are not necessarily designed to handle that traffic can still analyze it.
Got it. So we have another question that's oriented around how do I understand the port density as an organization that I will need? What are some of the factors to consider in the port density equation? Because if you look at, for instance, the 520 or the 6000, right? You can go really dense on ports.
Oh, you can.
Right. How do I figure out what I need?
Yeah, well, sort of like I was talking about earlier, that we have the VB6000, for instance, as a solution to address your needs. If you have a large number of links and/or you have a large number of tools that you need to forward the traffic to, then you're going to need a high port density device to handle all that traffic that's coming in, being able to aggregate it together, to sort out the traffic of interest, and then send it out to the number of tools that you need to support. And whether that's a large number of tools of the same type, for instance, I was just talking to a customer earlier today who indicated that they need to be able to balance traffic across up to 64 tools. That's an instances of the same tool, basically. That's because of the large amounts of traffic they have. The tools don't handle more than about 10 gigs of traffic, and they've got somewhere up towards 640 gigs of traffic that they need to analyze. So you've got those sorts of astounding numbers. But at the same time, you mentioned the VB520 before. The VB520 is really a targeted point solution for a single 100 gig link. So if you've only got one 100 gig link to worry about, you can actually use that to bring the traffic out from that one link to your handful of tools that you have. Or you can also use it as a remote solution. You don't need so many ports at the remote site, but at least you've got the ability to get that traffic, and then you can then haul it back to a site where you do have a larger centralized system such as the VB6000.
All right, so I'm looking at the clock and we've got only a couple minutes left. So why don't we go ahead and move forward? And actually one of the last questions that came up was oriented around, hey VSS, what more do you have that describes these types of solutions. Right, and a couple of things for attending the webinar today. We will be sending as a follow-up along with a link to the recorded webinar if you want to go back and listen again. Or I invite, if you weren't on yesterday's webinar, which was specifically about 100 gig, I invite people to check that out as well. After we get more information on high-speed networks and how VSS addresses them. So first off, for attending, we're going to send this impact brief that was written by Enterprise Management Associates, provide some data about the drive to higher speed networks. I also invite folks to go to our website, vssmonitoring.com. If you go to the bottom part of the home page, there's a box. There's a picture of the eBroker 526,000. Click on that. Not only will that give you a little bit of product information, but more importantly, will take you to some of the solution nodes and deployment information that we've put together in conjunction with those products. Also, within the white paper section of our and resources section of our website, there's much more information up there regarding security solutions, etc.
Correct.
If you do need to speak to a technical specialist right away on something that where we can provide a solution to you in short order of time, I invite you just to send an email to sales@vssmonitoring.com and type in the subject line, help me with HDDC or high density data centers in the subject line, and that will be a flag for us to get back to you right away.
Yes.
So in closing, I'd like to thank everybody for attending today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We ran a few minutes over, and I appreciate everybody sticking with us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and again, we'll send out some follow-up materials and look forward to continuing to engage with you. Thank you.